Introduction to country and location. The first one is location and region. China is located in East Asia and is one of the most significant countries in the region. For size and area, it is the largest country in East Asia and covers a vast land area, almost comparable to the whole of Europe combined. For geographical extent, China occupies a major portion of the East Asian landmass, making it one of the world's largest countries by area. For topographical diversity, China has an extremely varied landscape ranging from the highest elevations such as mountains and plateaus to some of the lowest points on Earth. For temperature differences, there is a significant temperature contrast between northern and southern China, one of the largest within a single country globally. For climate variation, China experiences diverse climate zones from desert-like conditions in the northwest to tropical monsoon climates in the southeast. For the last, plains and coastlines. In contrast to its mountains, China also has vast coastal plains that support dense populations and economic activities. For introduction to population, the first one is population size. China is the second most populous country in the world with about 1.4 billion people in 2025, representing 17.20% of the global population. For sparsely populated regions, western areas such as Tibet and Xinjiang have low population density because of harsh climate, mountainous terrain, and limited economic development. And for population density, with an area of 9.39 million km per square, China's average population density is about 151 people per kilometer per square. For recent demographic trends, since 2022, China has experienced population decline and fluctuations, signaling long-term demographic change rather than sustained growth. For uneven distribution, population is heavily concentrated in eastern and coastal regions, for example like Beijing, Shanghai and Guangdong, due to better economic opportunities and infrastructure. Next, for economic impact, the large population has historically provided a huge labor force and domestic market, contributing to rapid industrialization and economic growth. And for the last, population measurement, the figures are based on the de facto population definition, counting all residents living in China regardless of citizenship. For introduction to economic background, the first one is economic reform since the late 1970s marked a major turning point in China's development, shifting from a Soviet-style centrally planned economy to a more market-oriented system. The second one is decollectivization of agriculture, increased farmers' freedom and productivity, contributing to rural economic growth. The third one is the government shift in policy focused toward light manufacturing and high technology industries, supporting export-led growth. The fourth one is the most economically advanced regions are the Pearl River Delta, the lower Yangtze River Delta, and the Beijing-Tianjin-Liaoning Po-Hai Gulf region. And for the last is, despite growth, China faces structural challenges, including energy shortages, undeveloped transport systems, and weak communication networks.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Adam bin Nizam and I will talk about the economic system of China. So since 1949, China has been a socialist country and the Chinese government played a major role in the economic management. The government also owned almost all the manufacturing firms in China, and the heavy duty was under the government control. The Chinese government has set the price for main commodities, determined the level and part of distribute general investment fund, set a wage level and employment target, manage the retail network and wholesale, and control the financial policy and banking system. In early 1950th century, the foreign trade system was fully controlled by the Chinese government, and in early 21st century, many aspects of China's traditional economic system has changed. The role of the central government in managing the economy decreased, and the role of the both private and government become more important. The government still play a big role in the urban economy, and government agriculture policy has a big influence on the rural economy. For the resource allocate and economic decision making, the government will make economic decisions, especially those made by the president. The government also determine and allocate the resource and capital which will be made by the firm in China based on the policy that has been set by the government. The innovative industry will be the main focus for achieving the China's strategic objective.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Ahmad Najmi bin Muhammad Shukri. Today I will present question 3, demand and supply analysis, and question 5, consumer behavior. For question 3.1, the product chosen by us is Chinese noodle. These noodles become very famous according to region of production, ingredients used in making a complete dish, the shape or width itself, and the manner in prepare this noodle. This noodle was invented in China and now become the main or essential ingredient in Chinese cuisine. Today, there are over 1,200 types of noodles normally consumed across China. They are also having over 2,000 styles of method of cooking Chinese noodles, and over 10,000 types of varieties dishes can be made using Chinese noodles. For question 3.2, demand. Demand is a consumer who desires or wants to have a product or service, need to have willingness to pay and purchasing power goods and services. Law of demand showing negative relationship between the quantity demand and the price of the goods. Okay, there is two factors that influence demand for Chinese noodle. First is convenience. Convenience is the main factor that influence consumer intention to choose instant noodle products in their life. Lack of time due to heavy load of work, lack of skills of cooking and knowledge will diverse consumers to prefer food that is easy and fast to prepare. Second factors is health and nutritional value. Consumers are preferring to avoid food that seems like unhealthy, while healthier noodles is available in the market, such as whole grain or reduced fat noodles, are more easily been accepted by the consumer because it is more healthier. Second, supply. Supply is defined as the producer's ability and willingness to supply different quantities at different possible prices and time range. There is two factors that affecting supply for Chinese noodles. First, cost of raw materials. An increase in the price of raw materials such as wheat, flour, and cooking oil indirectly affect the cost of production, which reduce producers' profitability and cause a decrease in the quantity of Chinese noodles supplied. Second, technology and production efficiency. An improvement in technology will allow the producers to increase their production using the same level of input, reducing average production overhead and will increase the level of supply of Chinese noodles. For question 3.3, factors that affecting market equilibrium for Chinese noodles. First, taste and preference. Changes in lifestyle, urbanization, and pattern of working have changed the preference to fast, affordable, and comfort meals, indirectly making Chinese noodles one of popular choice among citizens. Second, technology and production efficiency. Advance in storage, refrigeration, and transportation reduce spoilage and extend the shelf of package. Other than that, digital ordering platform and efficient supply chain improve inventory control. As we can see in diagram 1, E is equilibrium point, P is equilibrium price, and Q equilibrium quantity. For question 3.4, there is two recent changes in market equilibrium for Chinese noodles. First, increasing in market demand. In 2025, the Chinese noodles restaurant market in mainland China shows the positive development, having record renminbi 286.6 billion in gross merchandise valued by 2024 and expected to grow further as urbanization, increasing in household income, and according to traditional Chinese noodles dishes are getting famous, which shift the demand curve for Chinese noodles rightward at the equilibrium point. As we can see in diagram 2, original equilibrium point is at E, which is at P and Q before the changes. However, an increase in market demand causes the entire demand curve move to the right from DD to D1. Supply curves stay at their place, which is SS. So the new equilibrium point is E1. The new equilibrium price is P1, and the new equilibrium quantity, which is Q1. Second recent changes in market equilibrium for Chinese noodle is improvement in production technology and efficiency in noodle manufacturing. Producers of Chinese noodle having a better or advanced production technology, machinery, and output process method. They can produce large amount of Chinese noodle at one time at the same cost or lower cost. This increase the quantity supplied at every price level and influence to a rightward shift of a supply curve for Chinese noodle. As we can see in diagram 3, original equilibrium point is at E, which is at P and Q before the changes. However, an advance in production technology and efficiency caused the entire supply curve move to the right from SS to S1. Demand curve stay at their place, which is DD, so the new equilibrium point is E1. The new equilibrium price is P1 and new equilibrium quantity, which is Q1.
Alright, next is price elasticity of demand and supply. Alright, first topic is factor that influence the price of elasticity of demand and supply. Price elasticity of demand. The factor that influence the price elasticity of demand is availability of substitutes, urgency, and duration of price change. Next is price elasticity of supply. The factor that influence the price elasticity of supply is production cost, availability of substitutes, nature of the production process, and time frame. Okay. Furthermore, implication for producer and a consumer. For consumer, the implication that will affect them is purchasing behavior and tax burden. And for producer, the implication will be pricing and production, meeting demand and competition.
For question 5.1, there is 3 ways on how China consumers make purchasing decision to maximize satisfaction. First, budget constraint. This means limits level on how much they're able to spend when they are choosing between instant noodle, fresh noodle, or restaurant noodle. Customer or consumer are always put a priority to select an option that give more satisfaction to them and at affordable price. Second, marginal utility with price. Consumers are always evaluate how much additional benefits of additional satisfaction they get from consuming one more unit of noodles compared to its cost. Consumers are really wanting to choose the best product to consume. Third, preference and taste. Consumers that put the priority on their health will always prefer whole grain or low sodium noodles, even the noodles are spicy. as their objective to get health benefit to increase their overall utility. For question 5.2, this is how consumer make purchase decision during inflation situation. When the price of noodles sold in restaurant rising because of higher price of ingredient, transportation costs, and labor costs, this will influence the consumer to not dining out. Instead, they change their consume style toward instant noodle and homemade noodles, which are cheaper and suits their taste bud. Second, during substitution effect. If the price of wheat-based noodle is rising due to expensive wheat price, consumers are tending to substitute them with rice or glass types of noodles. This alternative will result in similar satisfaction in terms of taste and quality of a product, indirectly allowing consumers to get nearly the same utility at a lower price. Third, brand switching behavior. Consumers are sensitive to change in price of a product. When the price of premium noodle brand increasing during the inflation, consumers tend to change to cheaper local brands of or supermarket private label noodles. Fourth, income levels and preferences. During stable economic situation or improving economic conditions, will cause some consumers choose healthier substitutes such as organic noodles, whole grain noodles, or low sodium noodles, even though this option is more expensive. But the objective of the consumers is to get greater long-term benefits such as improved health and nutrition.
The next topic is wage determination. The factor that influence wage difference is first, supply and demand, where the fundamental principle is that the wage rate is determined by the intersection of the supply of available worker and the demand for the worker by noodle producer or restaurant owners. Second is government regulation. Most countries have minimum wage laws that set a floor for wage, which employers in the culinary and food production sector must adhere to.
For conclusion, noodle market in China demonstrates a market mechanism and consumer decision-making pollution in an intensely competitive, culturally layered industry. Supply and demand are influenced by prices, income and production costs, and competition amongst producers lead to efficiency, production differentiation, and innovation. Meanwhile, the decisions that consumers make are not only based on price and convenience, but the taste, local food culture, brand reputation, and quality perception also have significant effects. On the whole, Chinese noodle market can be discussed as a strong illustration of the combination of economic forces and consumer behavior to define the results in a real market.